This is a Kahan TV Sports Break. The second round of the NBA playoffs start tomorrow, so we brought in our NBA expert, Vlad Kitajczyk, to break it all down for us. Vlad, you and I were at the bar last night. It was a bit unusual not having any basketball to watch, but we had the Legends Football League to watch, which is pretty good stuff, huh, Vlad? I'm thinking about covering it here on the channel. Best stuff I've seen in a long time.
It's quite unbelievable. I never knew they existed until we saw them at the bar.
All right.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, we got a bit to get to. But before we get to the second round of the NBA playoffs, the LA Clippers threw a bit of a snag into our show by winning Game 6 in Utah. Chris Paul was chingon. They have no business being in this competition still, but CP3 has to sleep with himself at night, and he was not going to be denied. Vlad, Game 7 is later on today. At this point, there's no point in making a pick. It's anyone's game. I personally think the Clippers would get swept by the Warriors, which kind of makes me not want to see this series as a Clippers fan. But we'll just cover both scenarios here. Firstly, if the Jazz win, what kind of series would we expect between the Jazz and the Warriors?
Well, it's a contest of styles in that case. Obviously, the Warriors would be, heavily favored, as they would against almost any team. But the bottom line is, like I said, it's a contest of styles. You have the Jazz playing that slow half-court game, defensive-minded, trying to beat them in the half-court. The Warriors trying to run and gun, hit threes, just score at will, overwhelm them that way. And most likely, with the Warriors' talent, it would just be too much for the Jazz to overcome. They go through lots of different stages where they can't score, and that won't work against the Warriors. You have to be consistently good for 48 minutes, 4 times out of 7. Don't see it for the Jazz. Best they get, maybe they could get a game, maybe 2 if they really, really, really work at it. But 1 game is what I'll give the Jazz.
All right, and the Clippers, obviously, without their prized, fragile talisman, who hurt his little toe. Vlad, how badly would the Clippers get demolished by the Warriors?
They'd probably be in the same boat as the Jazz, but they'd probably play it differently. It wouldn't be like a half-court battle, but they have enough talent there, even without Griffin, where they could power up and get 1 game at home probably. But I don't love the Clippers team as a whole, so I think that would be probably the best they could do is maybe get 1 game where Chris Paul just does a whole bunch of stuff for them, passing, everybody's hitting shots. They get a game, but that would probably be the most as well. 1 game.
All right, so now we can move on to the other 3 series. We'll start in the East, where the Cavs will take on the Toronto Raptors. Vlad, we've seen this before. Is there any reason we should think Lowry and DeRozan can make this ending to the story different than the one we've already seen?
Well, I don't know. I most likely not. Most likely not. Most likely the Cavs will prevail in this series. But you got to give the Raptors some chance just because they have improved from last year's team in the sense that they've added Serge Ibaka. They're tougher defensively. They have more defensive guys on the perimeter. I don't know what to expect from Lowry or DeRozan in this series or the Raptors, but because they're such an inconsistent team, sometimes they look really good, and other times they look like shit. Okay, let's be honest. Okay, so I don't know.
But no cursing on the show.
Oh, so I apologize.
I'm kidding. It's all right.
Oh, good. Good. I prefer it that way. But
how are we gonna talk without cursing? Really, it's ridiculous.
It's tough. Yeah.
All right, go on.
Anyways, bottom line, I don't know. I would say the Cavs will probably prevail, but you got to give the Raptors a chance just because of the way they kind of finished that Raptors series where it was low scoring, and maybe that's their way of winning the series. Playing that good defense.
A chance.
A chance.
You give the Raptors a chance.
Well, you know what? They're better than last year's team, and the Cavs are worse. The Cavs, okay, so they beat the Pacers, but that doesn't mean they're out of the woods yet. Like, okay, that they ended this regular season, everyone's like, oh, what are we gonna get from the Cavs? So they beat the Pacers, who suck. In 4 close games, every game was right there for the Pacers to take, and that's it. Everybody's like, well, that's it. The Cavs are back. I'm like, what? Back from what? They're not back from anything. They just beat a really, really bad team. So we'll see what they play when they play a little bit of a better team, and then we'll see. Yeah, the Raptors are probably not going to win the series because it's the Raptors, but the Cavs are not out of any woods yet. They're not back from anything. They still suck. All right.
All right. And the other series in the East is set to tip off in just a few minutes here. The Boston Celtics dodged a bullet when Rajon Rondo went out hurt for the Bulls. So the Celtics came back to win 4 straight despite Isaiah Thomas's off-court drama. The Wizards got through a fairly tough series against the Hawks. And now we've got a battle of star point guards as Isaiah Thomas and John Wall will square off. Vlad, this looks like a good series. What do you think?
Well, yeah. Actually, this is the one that I'm having the hardest time really calling. I don't know, because obviously the Celtics are the number 1 seed, but a lot of people are, the basketball experts are saying the Wizards are actually the better team with Wall and Beal, and actually they might have more talent than the Celtics, and a lot of people would say they do actually have more talent than the Celtics. So it's a tough one. I'm going to go with the Wizards in the series. I think they'll make a sort of an upset.
The first upset of the playoffs.
As far as seedings go, yeah, this will be an upset. They're the 4th seed playing the 1 seed, and this would be an upset. But the Celtics are an unconventional 1 seed where nobody's really sure how this all happened for the Celtics. How they got the number 1 seed in the first place.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. How could you be the 1 seed and it's an accident?
Right. Well, I'm not saying.
I mean, we saw it before when the Pacers used to be the 1 seed and instead of the Cavaliers.
Right.
I mean, they put more effort into the regular season than a lot of other teams.
And that may be what happened here. The Celtics definitely put more effort than the Cavs, who we know were resting players throughout the season, making sure that their big 3 guys were healthy going into the playoffs. And the Celtics didn't really have to worry about them because they just went all in to try to get that number 1 seed. And it worked out for them, so we'll see. But I mean, honestly, they're a very flawed team. If Isaiah Thomas isn't doing everything for them, I'm not sure how they're going to score against a much stiffer test than the Bulls, who are totally inconsistent and don't have a coach. So that won't happen here with Washington. So we'll see. I have the Wizards winning, though.
All right, and to end this segment, this looks like the juiciest series of the second round for the West, as the 2 and 3 seeds in the West will square off in a Texas-sized showdown. I know, so cliche. But the Spurs will take on James Harden and all his outside shooters. Vlad, what I've been hearing is that the Spurs will have trouble keeping up with the Rockets' high-powered offense, so they'll have to slow them down. Can they do this?
Yeah, they can. It's playoff basketball. It's going to slow down. The Rockets had it a certain way when they played the Thunder, who cannot defend either. The Spurs are going to stifle them. It's going to be a half-court game, and this is where the Rockets... Look, I mean, if the Rockets win the series, they will shock me completely. I will be stunned if the Rockets win the series. I will admit that I'm totally wrong about everything if the Rockets beat the Spurs in a slow half-court basketball game, because I don't see how it can happen. The Spurs are too well coached. The Rockets just take too many bad shots. They fire threes at will. It's not going to work against a well-coached team like the Spurs, or at least it shouldn't. But, based on the way I understand basketball to be played. So we'll see. But Leonard, despite what they say about Harden, Kawhi Leonard's the best player in the series. And if he plays like it, the Spurs are going to win the series 6 games.
All right. So that wraps it up for us. Vlad's got the Warriors and Spurs in the Western Conference Finals, and the Cavs and the Wizards in the East. I predict that we will all have a great time watching it. That is all for this edition of Sports Break. Thanks for watching. Till the next time.